1, 2, 3, 4. Let me jump directly to, this is actually my second live. Last time I had a first live last week, Saturday, and that was just impromptu. So I did not prepare anything. So actually now I did at 3 o'clock and there was some technical problems. So sorry for those who are waiting at 3 o'clock. Now we delay for an hour. So I hope you guys still there, or you can just watch this video later. Okay, it will be in the YouTube library. So anyway, our topic last time is we talk about scales and modes, but I did not really go deeper to the definition and understanding about what's the difference about these scales and modes. So I have a notes with me. I did my research. So let's see what we have here. So today I'm gonna, before I go application on the Ionian, let's clarify the definition first of what is a scale. Okay, so let's start with that. What is a scale? Because if you're a beginner or even intermediate, and this is the first time that you learn lead technique using a scale, so let's define what is a scale first. A scale is just a set of intervals of notes. But if we read in our definition based on what we search in Wikipedia or whatever sources that I had search, it says here that a scale is any set of musical notes ordered by fundamental frequency or pitch. Okay, or you could say a specific scale is defined by its characteristic interval pattern and by a special note known as at its first degree. Okay, there's so many examples here. For example, we have C. C major indicates a major scale within a C tonic. So what are this definition really give us clarity when we apply scale? So in my analogy of scale, they're like ladder, when you climb up a ladder. So it's like you go from one step to the next step when you climb up, right? But in music, they call it whole step and half step. So this is where music becomes interesting when they use a scale, because a scale is just a set of interval or a space from one step to the next step. Okay, so but in music we have whole step, we have half step, we have whole step plus half step together. But for now we're gonna talk about whole step and half step. So we have 3 examples of scales here. We have natural major, natural minor, and chromatic scale. So when you say natural major, this is a combination of whole step and half step. So imagine if your fretboard is like a ladder, and this is your first step here. For example, your first step is in the key of G, and you move to the next step. So from key of G, when you move to the next step, you follow the formula of natural major. If your scale is a natural major, right? So it's a whole step, and a whole step takes 2 half step. So in music or in using guitar, a half step is like this, from this fret going to the next fret. That's a half step. A whole step takes 2 half step. This is a whole step, half step, and a whole step. I already talked about this last time, but I did not really make it clear, and I don't have the illustration. Now I'll show you illustration here, which you can see on the left side. You see that it's very small. I hope you can see that one. I started on G for my key of natural major. You see that I moved to A because it's a whole step. And then from A to B, it's another whole step. And then B to C, it's a half step. And C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F is a F sharp. E to F sharp is a whole step. And then F sharp to G is a half step. Okay? So that makes music interesting using a scale. So scale is a set of intervals, you know, pattern to make music interesting. So if you play a chromatic, chromatic is less interesting because they're all half step. That's it, right? But there's application of chromatic scale where you play music very interesting, which you're gonna learn later. So another example is a natural minor. Natural minor is a different formula compared to natural major, if you can see there. But later on, you will see the twist of this, actually the sequence of order of natural major and natural minor as we study modes, because our topic today is Ionian mode. So I will not include natural minor for now. So as you see, that's the definition of scale. Scale are just set of intervals, okay, from one note to the next note. Now, what makes it different with modes? When you talk about modes, modes are also made of intervals. So let's before we go to modes, let's see some examples here of natural minor or natural major. Moment. Let me, or we can do some application first of a natural major scale using a backing track. So our natural major is on the key of G. So let me play a backing track in the key of G.
1, 2,
which I played during the intro.
4.
B, B to C, C to D, D to E, E to F sharp, that's F sharp to G. Which you can also play descending, means backward. Okay. Now that's the horizontal approach of playing the scale. Okay. So another term for natural major is actually our topic today, which is Ionian. So if you heard the word Ionian, it means a natural major. So which comes first, Ionian or natural major? So it's just a play of terms, you know. Based on what I search, it's actually start with Ionian. So I always say based on my search because I'm not a music major. I'm not a graduate of any music major. My daytime job is I'm a science teacher. So, yeah. But I love music, and I also teach music as part-time. Or I also play music as a hobby and play some gigs. So you can give any comments or maybe correction if you think that I have mistakes of my explanation. Feel free to give comments, and yeah, it's a healthy discussion. Okay. So that's natural major. Natural major can also be termed as Ionian. So WWH, WWWH. So Ionian is used to be termed as a mode. Actually, Ionian is a mode. They use the term as a Greek term, but before the Greek adapted the modes, actually the Byzantine already used the modes, and then the Greek adapted it. That's what I found in my research. And then there was no actually difference about modes and scales. They're just the same because they're all both composed of intervals, like whole step, half step, whole step, half step. So later on, during the invention of the stav, stav, stave, the 5 lines in the music notes, this is where they find they draw a line, the difference about modes and scale, especially the natural major, which is the Ionian, and the rest of the modes. So the Ionian mode has brothers and sisters, such as the Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. Okay, so Ionian mainly they use that. Later on, we call it natural major. Ionian they mainly use that as the key signature. Okay, so if you are familiar with key signature, they use key signature for when you play a song. What is your key signature? If you write a score. So that you will know if you have flats or sharps in this music. So whatever key you play, for example, you play in key of A minor, right? You will not use A minor for your key signature. You will use the natural major for your key signature. That's why if you have A minor, the natural, the relative major for that is C. So when you write a score in composition or even in songwriting, your key signature is your natural major or the Ionian. So I think this is the main this is only the main difference, just in context of music theory or even in composition. So you have to write using key signature using natural major, not the modes or not other modes or not other scales. So scales and modes are the same. The only difference when they use a key signature. Okay, so if you have any comments to that, you can feel free to give comments below. And I think another difference is I don't call it different, but they still, in terms of intervals and in terms of interval, they're the same, but could be the distinct characteristic of the modes. Ionian, when you go to Dorian and other types of modes, as we keep learning this lesson, because the next topic would be after Ionian, I will go to Dorian. Okay, not Dorian, not fruit, Dorian. Anyway, so that's it. Another thing that is being asked by one of my students is, what is the difference between a natural scale and a diatonic scale? Actually, they are also the same. Okay, so let's find that definition here. What is a scale? What is a diatonic scale? So we have here a diatonic scale. Example of diatonic scale is a natural major, and the rest of the family of natural majors, such as Ionian mode, as long as it's under the natural major scale, Ionian mode, Dorian mode, until Locrian. They are diatonic scale because diatonic scale by definition is a heptatonic scale. Hepta means it composed of 7 intervals that has 5 whole step and 2 half step. Okay, so remember that. What is a diatonic scale? A diatonic scale is composed of 5 whole step and 2 half step. It's equivalent to 7 steps. Okay, or you could say intervals. So that's what makes a diatonic scale. So they are interchangeably used as diatonic scale or diatonic mode. So this is what confuses people. Okay, so let's make it clear. And another definition is, what is a mode? So here in our example here, we have a fretboard here from G, A, B, C, D, E, F, sharp, and G. Sorry for pointing my finger wrong. So an Ionian mode is a natural scale. Start with Do. Do. So remember that Ionian starts with Do. An Ionian is also a natural major. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now, a mode could be defined as sequence, or we can call them as a subset from the main sequence. For example, your natural major scale is composed of modes. The first mode is the Ionian, which is the purity of the natural major. We'll call it the purity because it starts with Do. A natural major starts with Do, right? And you can also term it Ionian. So that's the first subset of the natural major. Okay, start with Do. Now, since I say sequence, when you go to the next mode, we call it Dorian. You start with Re. Okay, say Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. That's your Ionian mode. But when you play Dorian, you start with Re. Re, Mi, Fa, Re, Mi, Fa. I'll do it vertically. Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, Re. Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, Re. Re, Mi, Fa, Re, Mi, Fa. Say Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, Re, Re, Re. So it's a different characteristic, distinct characteristic. But if you see that one, it's just like a sequence where you start. Instead of starting with G, you start with A. If you see the fretboard here, starting with A, G, you start with A, and then you end with A. But it's the same interval. If you start with A, then you go to your B whole step, and then you go to your C half step. You go to your D whole step, and whole step, and whole step, and half step, and then I think whole step. Okay, so it's just like a subset of your natural scale. Okay, so we will understand this more as we go one by one to the scale. So let us go back to our Ionian, because Ionian is our main topic today, right? So let's go to Ionian. Let me remove this. So we approach Ionian like this pattern in a horizontal pattern. Now we have to approach Ionian in a vertical pattern because we have 6 strings here. Okay, let's use Ionian in G. So when I say Ionian in G, it means that our key for Ionian is in the key of G. And remember that Ionian always starts in Do for our solfa or solfege. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, Do. So not all the time that Do is G. It can be anywhere. As what I told in the first video, in the first live session, because this is a common question that they think that Do is always C. But teacher just use C, because when you play the C in a keyboard, you only touch all the white keys. You don't touch the black keys, so it doesn't confuse a student. But it doesn't mean that the Do is always C. It can be anywhere depending on your key. Okay, so our key is G. Okay? G. So Do. So as you see here, we have a color code in our diagram. So the blue one pertains to the second finger. So that's why I use second finger here. This is the G. So if you notice that, our 6th string is E. If you see that there's E there, E, A, D, G on the side. B, E, it means that every apple does get better every day, if you can remember your mnemonics. So our 6th string starts here on the G. Okay. So that's a second finger, blue. And then next is A. A is 4th finger, okay, which is yellow. And then let's go to our B. B is red. which is first finger. So red is first finger, blue is second finger, green is third finger, and then yellow is fourth finger. So again, let me play the scale. G, A, B, C, D, and go to F. That's your string number 4 or string D. This is E, E, F sharp, G, okay, and then A, B, G sharp, G, not G sharp. Okay, if you want to see my finger, is it too small? Can focus the finger a moment. Okay, there you go. Then we have F sharp and then G. So let me do it again. Starting at the top. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. Oh, sorry. E. Where are we? D, E, F sharp. Sorry, F sharp, G. That was a high note. F sharp, G. Okay, and you can play it descending. Okay, and you can also use a solfa. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, te, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, te, la. Do, te, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, te, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Okay. So I hope you you get it. You can practice it. You can practice it later if you want. You can also check some other YouTube videos, some scale technique, how to approach this. But this is the first shape for our Ionian. There are so many shapes for Ionian, but this is the easiest one in a vertical position. Okay, in a vertical approach. A while ago, I showed you a what is that? I showed you a horizontal approach. Let me close this. So let's try to play this with a backing track and see how it goes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, let's play it slow. You can use your thumb. Re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Actually, you're playing 2 octaves here because you have this one. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re. So that's the second octave. Try to also to play rhythmically. G, okay, which is your root note. So that's your cadence, complete cadence. So we're gonna talk what is
1,
cadence.
2, 3.
Okay, let me stop the backing track. So that's how you apply the scale. The Ionian mode, or you can call this one the natural major scale, or you can call this one diatonics Ionian. Okay, a diatonic scale Ionian. Now, that's the application for playing a lead technique in a very, very basic approach. So can we also apply this in a fingerstyle or a finger picking approach, you know? I'm doing a fingerstyle even. I don't use a plectrum. So basically what we did a while ago is a fingerstyle lead picking. But now, how about if we play a harmony over melody or melody over harmony? We mix the two using the scale. Okay? Because actually the scale, the chords, for example G, are built from the scale of natural major or Ionian. So let me explain that. Every chord has a formula for Ionian chord, or we call it triad major. Triad means 3. It composed of 3 notes, which is 1, 3, and 5. Okay, so 1, 3, and 5. We can also use number to this. Let me have a number instead of this. So if you see there, this is our number 1, our do. Re is number 2. Mi is number 3. 4, and then 5, right? So, and then 6, 7. There are 7, and then you go back to 1 again. So our chord is built from 1, 3, 5 formula. So our 1 is G, and our 3 is B, and our 5 is D. So D. So when you play G, it's only a repetition of, if you play G in a 6 strings, it's just a repetition of 3 notes, which is 1, 3, and 5. Okay, or here. So that's a G, right? So we don't play it here because they overlap with your 3rd finger. Okay, not 3rd finger, with your number 3. So instead of using here as a D, we go to the D string. This is the 4th string. That's a structure of G, right? But how about the last 3 chords, the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st? So our normal G, a common G is like this. So this one is D. This one is another open string, which is G. Okay, so this is G again. And then the next one is B, which is also open. Remember, our B is number 3. And then here is another G. So in this chord structure, you have a repetition of G, B, and D. Right? Our number 1, number 3, and number 5. Now looking at the scale there, we can take advantage of that. If you see the structure now, we are pressing 1, 3, and 1. 1, 3, and 1. And the rest are open strings, right? So looking at the structure there, we can apply some melody in our chord. For example, our chord is G, right? So this is your harmony. Chord is harmony, by the way. And then your melody are your what is that? Your linear notes. Your single notes. So how can we do that using only one instrument? Using the scale that we learn now. For example, we have this pattern. So I would suggest, instead of using the G, this G, I want to use a G5. I would add here. So since I can do that, I could add, we call it G5 because I press the 5 here on the 2nd string. Okay, so I call it G5 because I added 1 here. What note is this? This is D, right? We have a D in G. 1, 3, 5, which is our 5. Now, in this formation, this shape, I can remove my, I can just remove my number 3 and number 1. I can leave. I can leave my number one. I can leave my not number one, my fourth finger. Okay, or number one. Our do. Okay, so let me play this one first. You can do this exercise using the PIMA pattern. Your P is on the bass note, and then your I is on the third string, M is on the second string, and A is on the first string. So you can play it like this. Now what makes it interesting is I play the 7. Now let me change this. Instead of using a number, let's go to the notes. Okay, let's go to the notes. That you can see I'm pressing the F sharp. Now this one is not a G triad. Okay, we're playing now a broken chord, which is coming from a G, because we're using a scale now to play a melody in our G. Okay. But this is still a G with F sharp. So we can do that because we're playing a harmony over our melody. We're playing a melody over our harmony. You can even open that string, the first string, because we also have E, right? This is an E string. And in our scale of G Ionian, there is E. So it means that you can play a melody of E in your G chord. You can even change the chord into C, because this is G, your bass note, and you can go to C, which is this one. So this simple exercise can make you explore with different notes in your G chord, using the G scale, right? Another thing could be here. You're gonna use A, E, and A and B. Okay, there's so much to explore just in G Ionian. So I hope you learned something. That's how you approach the G Ionian in fingerstyle technique. Okay, so how about if can I use the same shape in a different key? And the answer is yes, of course. It's the same shape. There's so many shapes of Ionian, but this shape you can still use this in different key. So now we are in the key of G. How about if we go to key of A? Let's try key of A. Okay, so our key of A starts on the 5th fret, right, in our guitar. So remember, don't use number 1 when you play this shape, because our A is blue. Blue is that's just the color code that I use. Blue is our second finger, right? So let's do the demonstration of playing the scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now it's very high. Do, te, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Okay. It's good to sing the solfege, you know, the solfa, when you play the scale. It's also good for voice training. Anyway, so you have this one as your A, B, and then your first finger on the C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A. You go for B on the third string, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A. So this shape is the same as when you play the G Ionian, right? Exactly the same, right? It's just the key is different. This is now A Ionian. So if you wanna practice this scale in using a backing track, not necessarily mine, which is a bit boring. It's only guitar. You can check online any backing track, but make sure to type what key you're gonna play. Don't just type Ionian backing track, because you might have C Ionian there, which is no problem. You can just move to C. This is C. Okay. You can just move to C. But then if you have this illustration that I have with you, you can screenshot that. Make sure you type, is it G Ionian backing track or A Ionian backing track? Okay. So it's the key that is very important when you play a backing track. So let's explore this and play a backing track with this song or with this scale. Okay, so we are now key of A.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Play it slow using your thumb. Is this the first time you play a scale? Okay, there are so many techniques in playing a scale. You can learn that in other YouTube lessons. I can teach you some for now. If this is your first time to play a scale and want to learn some technique. So the first technique that you can apply could be the alternate picking. Means up, up, down, or down, up. Sorry, down, up. Maybe you can play that in one note. Okay, so in each note you play twice. Or if this is your first time, you can just use your thumb. Or maybe double it. So that's called alternate picking. And another technique which is very, very simple is just to slide your finger. So this is second. This is breaking the rule now of our shape, but that's fine. Okay. Yeah, and then you can from C sharp, then D to E. You can also do a slide. Or you can do a hammer. This is hard to hammer using your pinky. You can use your 1 and number 2 or number 3. Okay, and you can also skip notes. You don't have to follow the sequence like do, re, mi, fa, so. You can just jump maybe from A and then you go to D. Okay, as long as you follow a rhythm and try to also be familiar with the distinct characteristic of distinct sound of Ionian. Okay, Okay, you can skip note. Okay, so let's try to apply that the technique when we play the backing track. That's a slide. Or you can play an alternate. Hammer. Okay. String skip. Okay, so once you get familiar with the scale, then go for learning basic technique in playing a lead fingerstyle. So I guess that's the end of my live session today. So hope you guys can, if you're not here, hope you guys can watch this later and learn something. And if you have any comment, feel free to comment on the link below. Okay. So that's it. So Alonso here. Hope you enjoy my lesson today, and feel free to subscribe. And I think I'll be doing this every Saturday 3 p.m. but not today. I started at 4 p.m. Actually I started 3, but there's some technical problem. So next week I'll be doing it at 3 in the afternoon, Bangkok time. Okay, 3 p.m. in Bangkok. I don't know what time is that in other place. Plus 11 probably in New York, in London, I'm not really sure. So check it out, 3 p.m. Bangkok time, Saturday. Alonso Pasion. Okay, see you guys. Bye bye.